Hi guys, I'm Matthew, your VB tutor. Welcome to episode 2 of the Excel Blackjack series. If you haven't watched the earlier episodes or the overview video, I recommend checking those out first. Just click the card at the top to view the full series. In this episode, we'll be covering building the rest of your interface elements and naming shapes logically for easy referencing. Alright, let's get into it. So now we're going to build out the rest of our interface. We're going to build all the buttons we need. We're going to create readouts for our players' wins, losses, ties, player balances. We're going to create a message box and all that kind of stuff. Down in the bottom here, what I've got in my game is I've got a cheats section. So the user can turn on cheats and then they can see, information about upcoming cards and all that kind of stuff, which is just kind of cool to be able to turn on and off. But it's maybe not completely necessary, but we're going to sort of implement that as well. So for our buttons, we're going to create these sort of nice big circles. We're going to create, that's going to be like our hit button. I'm going to move that over a little bit and create another one there. And we can make sure that they're aligned. So these are going to have a nice thick outline. About 4. Now fill for that is going to be the darker color and then the lighter outline. Same in this for the red, so darker on the inside, lighter on the outside. So that's going to be our base button for all of our green things like hit, deal, and restart game. And then this one is going to be for our stand. But we want to give some text underneath those to identify exactly what the buttons are, because the images might not be that self-explanatory. So I'll just create a box underneath there. Again, we'll center align that. Give that no fill, no outline. And here we're going to just call this hit. Make that a bit bigger and center that. I'm going to leave the text white. Then we do the same for the stand button. So I want to make sure that they're in the same position, and that's aligned there, center, and call it stand. Now I might change the font for this. I used Daytona condensed. We're going to use this sort of throughout the entire application, so that's the font I'm going to use. All right. Now we'll also have an icon in the middle of that, so we'll go icons, add a card button, we'll do add, like a plus symbol like that, bigger, and then we're going to make that white. Center that on the circle. The same over here, so center that. I'm going to change that icon to a hand, like so. Now we've got our hit and stand buttons. I'm going to group those. Group that as one button. Group that as another button. And let's copy that hit button. That's going to be our deal button as well. So we're going to change the graphic for this. For card. And we'll use this Bob's card there and call that deal. Going to be our deal button. And then once again, we're going to create another button for restarting the game. I'll just make this one a little bit smaller. Change the icon again. That's for arrow. And I think this one, use like this one or something maybe. That'll do. Okay. So if we go to the selection pane, you can see we've now got these buttons. I've just got to restart. Okay. Now let's name these buttons properly, because these are going to be how we refer to the buttons when we're creating our items in the code. So we'll call this one button restart. This is the deal one, so we'll call this button deal. Hide that. This one will be button stand. And that one will be button hit. Okay. Just going to name that our bottom bar. And that can be table. All right. Now we're going to need a few more buttons still. So let's create, we're going to have some buttons over here that are going to represent our betting options. So we'll create a small button here. Obviously going to bring that text size right down, so I'll make that like a 10. I'll make that even still a little bit smaller, like that. That outline's too big now, so we're going to bring that back down, maybe like that. Text down, and change the text to, this is going to be bet plus 1. I mean, plus $1. Wider. So we're going to call that button bet 1. All right, now for this one, I'm going to change the color. Let's make this like a fill can be a darker blue and a lighter blue for the outline. And we'll create another copy of that, make sure that they're aligned. And that's going to be our reduce bet. Change the icon for that one. Subtract, no, minus, okay, 1. And we'll give that circle a bit of a different color. So we'll go maybe dark orange and lighter orange, like that. All right, I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit more, and we're going to make some smaller buttons. About there, it's going to be +5. Not always going to want to jump up in ones, right? So maybe we're betting like $50 or something. You can obviously set these thresholds to whatever you want. I'm just going to use 1 and 5, and we'll set them back to that. All right. Last thing we'll need is a bet all button, I think. And when you're playing sort of not kind of that seriously, you probably just bet all your money sometimes. So we'll change that icon to like some coins or something like that. Coins, there you go. All right. I think that's looking good. Now we're going to have a readout here of what our bet is going to be. So I'm going to create shape here. I'm going to copy this for all of our different ones. So I'm just going to add a little bit of extra formatting to this. Make sure that our text box has no margins to it. And this is going to be our Daytona condensed. And text will make that the orange. I'm going to call that bet. Center that. text a little bigger. Give it no fill and no outline. And we copy that underneath there. That's going to be where we actually have our betting amount. It's going to be obviously a bit bigger. Make that white. That's going to be, say, as a placeholder, we'll put $1, but we'll check, $100, make sure it fits in there okay. You can see that that might end up interfering with that bet all button, so I'll just move that bet all button up a little bit. And maybe we end up with enough money to start betting millions of dollars, so I want to make sure that there's plenty of space there. That's going to be our placeholder for that one. Then we're going to need the same sort of thing up here. That up above that actually. So this is going to be our player balance. Call that player balance. A little bit wider. And let's say our placeholder for that is $100. What these values are doesn't really matter at the moment. It's just sort of placeholder figures so that we can know what we're kind of looking at. Now, I don't think I made sure that those were centered. And with that, I'm just going to make sure that they're centered on the table. Center like that. So they're going to be directly over the top of our card placeholder. Now we've got to name all those buttons that we've just created. So it's called bet 1. We'll call that bet -1. Small one, bet -5. Small one, bet 5. And we'll call it bet all. And we'll label these properly. So we'll call this bet label and bet score amount, balance label, and balance amount. And we're going to copy those. And over here, these are going to be where we have our rolling score. I'm going to right align these ones. Left aligned. This is going to be wins. Total 0. Copy that. And again, I'll just group these so I can distribute them properly. I'll ungroup them in a minute. Now this one will be our losses and this ties. Okay. Just select all three of those groups and distribute vertically. That means that they're all nicely sort of aligned there. Might give them a column each. I think probably looks a bit better. And then I'm just going to ungroup those because we want individually accessible. So label for this is going to be wins. This one, losses. That'll be ties. Now what else do we need? We need a hand size for the player. So we're going to put that and make sure that's centered on the table. I'll move that under here. Put that just underneath the table maybe, so we'll call that and a new placeholder of 0. And we're going to need to do the same for the D. And center on the table. And we'll put his up in there. Smush it up a little bit. And I don't think that I've recentered those. There we go, that looks right. Okay, for this we're going to go hand label and amount, and dealer label and dealer amount. Now, if you're not going to be implementing the cheat system, you can sort of skip this little bit, but I'm just going to add my cheat placeholders down the bottom here. So we'll create let's copy this style here. Can be our upcoming cards. So this will be a list of sort of upcoming cards. Do one here for suggested action. Yeah. Stand or hit. On that's centered. Center those. And on the other side here, and say cards in shoe. Remember, the shoe is just basically the stack of the deck or decks. So that's 0 cards in shoe. There certainly is at the moment. We haven't actually built the shoe yet. And chance to bust. This is like a blind feature, so this would be similar to counting cards kind of thing. So down here I'm going to rename these shapes. Call this cheat upcoming label. Upcoming. I'll just leave it as that. Suggestion. I'll just put that as suggestion as well. I'll call it cheat suggestion. Suitable name. Cheat in shoe. And cheat bust chance. Alright, so that's everything we need there. The only other thing that we will need is going to be a cover for our buttons, because when the user clicks something, we're going to have a message come up, and that's going to be a timed message. And if they start hitting extra buttons, then that might sort of interfere with our code. So we're just going to create a cover for the buttons. So we'll just draw a big rectangle over those. Set no outline, and then go to format shape, set the transparency to 100. If you do no fill, then you can actually click through that shape. If you set the transparency, then you can't actually click on the stuff underneath it. If I do a fill, no fill, then I can actually click on that shape. If I leave it as just transparent, it intercepts my click. I'm going to call that cover buttons. Then lastly, we need a message box. I'm going to create another nice big shape. I want that centered on the screen, so I'm going to use this bottom bar as reference. Center it like that. And maybe for this we use a deep green color again. Maybe more like that. and our outline, big outline, and give it a deeper green. And then our message is going to be something like, you know, you won plus $50 or something like that. Again, we use the same font. We'll center this, and we're going to make this big. I think that's big enough. And I think I'll use that orange again, but slightly resize. There we go. So that's everything we're going to need. Now I'm just going to hide that. Oh, actually, I'll just rename that to message. And we'll hide that. Hide cover buttons so that we can interact with these buttons as we need to. Oh, now one more thing that we need to do here just before we move on. We're going to create a collection of cards, right, that are going to be for each player, the player, or the dealer. These are going to be as your dealt cards. That's going to show each of these cards and sort of replace the picture with the card that you've been dealt. So we're going to create a shape. Actually, we can just sort of refer to this shape. And we can make sure that that's centered on the table. Okay, so we'll call this card 1. All right. And we're going to set the user picture of this. So we'll go to Format Shape, go Picture, we'll insert from File, and we'll just refer to any of those cards, okay? I also just want to make sure that we don't have an outline or a shape outline. All right, so that's our card. I'm going to place that in that placeholder spot. And then the most cards that you can have as in a blackjack hand, surprisingly, is actually 11. You can get 4 aces, 4 twos, and 3 threes, and that will give you value 21. So we're going to create a group of cards for each player, which is going to be 12 potential cards. All right, so we'll do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's very unlikely that we'll ever get past, sort of 5 or 6, but this just gives us a number of cards that we can potentially move into. We're going to name them cards 1 to 12. All right, now they're all sort of all over the place, so we're just going to select all of those. We'll align them all. I'll just move those up, and then I'll align them all to the bottom. Make sure that we don't poorly position them, and then we want to distribute them horizontally. So you can see every card value and suit is visible in that list of cards. Okay. Then we're going to group all of those. Let's group them together. And we're going to call that player cards. And we're going to duplicate that, so just copy that whole group. And we can rotate it around because this is going to be the dealer's side. And this is going to be the dealer cards. All right. Let's hide those And yeah, we're done. I think our entire interface is done, so now we can start getting into the actual code. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button if you're building along and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. In the next episode, we'll cover creating the card class object, generating and shuffling one or more decks, the shape handler module. As always, the final product is available on my Patreon for one-time purchase or for free to second tier members. Thanks again for watching. This is your VB Tutor signing out.